Did you know that women over 50 who maintain regular sexual activity have up to a 30% lower risk of heart disease compared to those who stop altogether? American Journal of Cardiology, 2016. The shocking question is, how many times per week does it actually take to protect your heart and even extend your life? The answer will surprise you. Hello, I'm Dr. Eliza Hart. I'm a board-certified gynecologist with over 15 years of experience, helping women navigate menopause, hormonal changes, and intimate wellness. My mission is simple: to bring you science-based, compassionate advice so that you can make confident decisions about your body and your health, especially in the years after 40. For decades, women have been told, sometimes directly, sometimes silently, that intimacy after 50 is no longer important. Many begin to wonder, is it normal that my sex life is slowing down? The truth is, this question is not trivial. Intimacy isn't just about romance. It's about protecting your cardiovascular system, your memory, your hormones, and even your emotional well-being. Ignoring it means giving up more than pleasure. You risk giving up a piece of your vitality. In this video, I'll show you what the latest research really says about intimacy after 50, the proven health benefits, what science reveals about frequency, the barriers many women face, and how to redefine closeness in a way that truly supports your body and mind. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a science-backed conversation on women's health. And please, help me reach my first 1,000 subscribers so I can continue growing this channel. And let me know in the comments if this topic resonates with you, type 1, if not type 0. Your feedback helps me create the content you truly need. 1. Why this question matters and what science says about frequency. Many women over 50 quietly wonder if their changing sex life is a sign that something is wrong, or if it simply means they have reached the end of the road. I can tell you with certainty, after more than 15 years of sitting with patients in this exact stage of life, that the question of how often intimacy should continue is not only valid, it is essential. This is not about measuring yourself against some artificial standard or competing with younger versions of yourself. It is about recognizing that sexual activity is directly tied to measurable health outcomes: your heart, your bones, your hormones, and even your longevity. When intimacy is ignored, the body loses far more than moments of closeness. It gradually loses vital protection against many of the challenges that naturally come with aging. The medical literature is clear: intimacy after menopause is not just a private matter, it is a determinant of health. A large-scale analysis published in the American Journal of Cardiology demonstrated that older women who remained sexually active on a consistent basis had up to a 30% reduction in cardiovascular risk. That number is not small. It represents a life-changing difference in how the body ages. Similarly, observational studies in gerontology have shown that women who maintain intimacy into their 60s and 70s report not only lower levels of depression and anxiety, but also a stronger sense of life satisfaction compared with peers who become completely inactive. These findings underscore why asking how often is not trivial curiosity. It is a question that may literally influence the quality and length of your life. So what does science tell us about frequency? The truth is, there is no single magic number. Every woman's body, relationship, and circumstances are unique, yet patterns emerge when we look at large populations. Research consistently suggests that women who engage in intimacy roughly once per week report higher overall health, better mood stability, and stronger relationship satisfaction. Weekly intimacy seems to be a sweet spot. It provides enough circulation, hormonal support, and emotional closeness to nourish the body and mind, without turning intimacy into a pressured obligation. At the same time, studies also show that even intimacy once or twice a month can offer real benefits, particularly for memory, pelvic health, and stress reduction. The point is not to chase a number, but to ensure that intimacy remains present in whatever rhythm feels sustainable and fulfilling for you. What matters most is not perfection or performance, but presence. When intimacy is approached with curiosity rather than pressure, it becomes less about checking boxes and more about cultivating vitality. And as we move forward, you will see that the benefits go far beyond the heart. They extend to nearly every system in your body, including areas you may never have expected. 2. The physical benefits of staying sexually active. It is easy to think of intimacy as something purely emotional, but from a medical perspective, it is also a powerful physiological event. In fact, I often remind my patients that sexual activity is one of the most enjoyable forms of exercise available to the human body. Each encounter sets in motion a cascade of physical changes that support circulation, muscle strength, and hormonal balance, all of which are critical for women navigating postmenopause. When intimacy disappears, the body loses a natural mechanism that helps it stay resilient, flexible, and young at the cellular level. One of the clearest benefits is cardiovascular health. During sexual activity, the heart rate increases in a safe, rhythmic pattern, similar to moderate aerobic exercise. This improves blood vessel flexibility and enhances overall circulation, which is particularly important because heart disease becomes the leading cause of mortality in women after menopause. A study published in the American Journal of Cardiology highlighted that women who remained sexually active demonstrated significantly better vascular function compared with those who did not. Beyond the heart, the vascular benefits also extend to the pelvic region, ensuring that vaginal tissues receive consistent blood flow, which keeps them healthier, more elastic, and less prone to dryness or pain. Another area often overlooked is musculoskeletal health. Orgasms stimulate mild contractions of the pelvic floor muscles, effectively strengthening them over time. This provides a natural defense against urinary incontinence and pelvic organ prolapse, two common issues that many women assume are unavoidable with age. Regular intimacy also helps maintain bone density indirectly by supporting the production of small amounts of estrogen and testosterone hormones that continue to play protective roles even years after menopause. In combination, these mechanisms make intimacy not a luxury, but a functional necessity for long-term physical well-being. Pain relief is yet another benefit that cannot be ignored. When a woman reaches climax, the body releases endorphins, natural painkillers produced by the brain. Patients frequently tell me that headaches, joint aches, or muscle tension seem to dissolve after intimacy, and science confirms this perception. These neurochemicals reduce discomfort, ease stress-related tension, and create an overall sense of relaxation. At the same time, the release of oxytocin promotes deeper sleep, something many women struggle with in midlife. Rather than turning immediately to sleep medications, embracing intimacy can be a safer, more natural way to restore the body's circadian rhythm. The evidence is clear. Intimacy is not merely about connection with a partner. It is about protecting your cardiovascular system, strengthening your pelvic muscles, preserving bone health, and ensuring that your tissues remain vibrant. It is medicine in motion. And while the physical benefits are profound, the science becomes even more compelling when we turn to the brain. Because intimacy does not just affect the body, it directly nourishes memory, focus, and cognitive vitality. 3. Mental and cognitive benefits of intimacy after 50. When we think about protecting the mind in later life, most people imagine crossword puzzles, reading, or learning a new skill. What often goes unmentioned is that intimacy itself is one of the brain's most powerful stimulants. Every encounter activates complex networks in the nervous system, releasing chemicals that not only generate pleasure, but also sharpen mental clarity. For women over 50 who worry about memory slips or fading concentration, staying sexually active can be as protective as many lifestyle interventions traditionally recommended in medicine. Research supports this link. A study conducted at Coventry University in 2016 found that adults over 50 who reported sexual activity at least once a month performed better on memory and verbal fluency tests than those who were inactive. The reason lies in neurochemistry. Intimacy triggers the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with motivation and learning. At the same time, serotonin levels rise, stabilizing mood and reducing the mental fog often described during and after menopause. Together, these chemicals improve focus, encourage emotional stability, and sustain resilience against stress. In other words, the same act that strengthens your heart may also preserve your memory. The impact is not purely biological, it is also psychological. Many women who continue to embrace intimacy report feeling more confident, more valued, and more present in their daily lives. These feelings matter because self-perception influences brain health. When you view yourself as vibrant and desirable, cortisol, the stress hormone that damages neurons, declines, allowing your brain to function at a higher level. I have seen patients who, after rediscovering intimacy, describe themselves as sharper and more alive, not because their circumstances changed, but because their mindset shifted in tandem with their biology. Another dimension worth noting is mental health. Intimacy combats loneliness and reduces the risk of depression, both of which are strong predictors of cognitive decline. Women who maintain emotional and physical closeness are less likely to experience the heavy isolation that accelerates aging. The oxytocin released during touch reinforces this sense of connection, reminding the brain that it is not alone. This is not trivial. Neuroscience now shows that social bonds and physical closeness are as protective for the brain as diet or exercise. If you have ever wondered whether these connections are true in your own life, I encourage you to pause for a moment and reflect. Have you noticed changes in your mood, your focus, or your memory when intimacy is present compared to when it is absent? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your voice could reassure another woman who feels she is facing these challenges in silence. The more we speak openly, the more we remove shame and replace it with understanding. As we continue, remember that intimacy not only nurtures the body and the brain, it also plays a profound role in strengthening relationships and restoring emotional safety. That is where we turn next. 4. Emotional and relational benefits of intimacy after 50. For many women in midlife, the quiet fear is not about disease or memory loss, but about becoming invisible in their own relationships. The worry of not being desired anymore can weigh heavily, even if it is rarely spoken out loud. This is where intimacy carries a profound, often underestimated benefit. It reassures you that you are seen, valued, and cherished. That reassurance is not only emotionally comforting, it is physiologically restorative. Emotional closeness and physical closeness reinforce each other, creating a cycle of security that protects overall well-being. Studies in relationship science consistently show this link. Research published in the Journal of Gerontology revealed that older adults who remained sexually active reported significantly higher marital satisfaction compared to peers who were inactive. Importantly, this satisfaction was not just about frequency, but about the quality of connection. Gentle touch, sustained eye contact, and affectionate gestures release oxytocin, the bonding hormone which enhances trust and lowers stress. Hormones such as cortisol. Over time, this biochemical pattern strengthens the emotional foundation of a relationship, making couples more resilient to conflict and life stressors. From my clinical experience, I have seen countless women describe intimacy later in life as more meaningful than it ever was in their 20s. The rush to impress fades, and what remains is a tenderness built on decades of shared history. This intimacy is not about performance or perfection, it is about presence. Couples often find that simple rituals such as holding hands at the end of the day or sharing gentle closeness before sleep reignite feelings of being wanted. These acts remind both partners that love has matured, not disappeared. The psychological benefits extend beyond the relationship itself. When a woman feels emotionally secure and desired, her confidence rises in other areas of life. She is more likely to engage socially, to pursue hobbies, and to maintain optimism about the future. In contrast, when intimacy vanishes, feelings of rejection and inadequacy can silently erode self-esteem, leaving women vulnerable to depression and withdrawal. This is why emotional intimacy after 50 should not be viewed as optional. It is a health-promoting behavior as much as physical activity or nutrition. It is worth asking yourself, when was the last time you felt truly seen by your partner, not just as a caregiver or companion, but as a woman deserving of affection? Reflecting on this can highlight just how central intimacy remains for emotional vitality. And yet, despite these benefits, many women still encounter significant barriers, physical, psychological, or medical, that prevent them from enjoying intimacy as they once did. The encouraging news is that science offers solutions, and research shows that even small changes can restore comfort and connection. That is the focus of our next discussion. 5. Barriers women face and what research reveals. Even with all the proven benefits of intimacy, many women over 50 still struggle with very real obstacles that interfere with their ability to enjoy closeness. These barriers can be physical, emotional, or even related to medications, and acknowledging them openly is the first step toward overcoming them. Far too often, women assume that pain, dryness, or loss of desire is simply part of aging. In truth, these issues are not permanent roadblocks. They are treatable conditions with clear solutions supported by science. One of the most common concerns is vaginal dryness and discomfort. As estrogen levels drop after menopause, the vaginal walls become thinner and less elastic, a process known as atrophy. This can make intimacy painful and lead many women to avoid it altogether. Yet effective treatments exist. Over-the-counter lubricants and vaginal moisturizers can provide immediate relief, while low-dose vaginal estrogen therapy has been shown in multiple clinical trials to restore tissue health and reduce pain dramatically. A study published in Menopause, the Journal of the North American Menopause Society, confirmed that women using local estrogen therapy reported significant improvements in comfort, elasticity, and overall sexual satisfaction. Chronic health conditions represent another set of barriers. Cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and arthritis are more common after midlife, and they can reduce energy, mobility, and sexual responsiveness. However, research indicates that with proper management, such as adjusting medications, incorporating physical therapy, or modifying positions, intimacy can remain both safe and fulfilling. The key is not to assume that illness closes the door, but to approach intimacy with flexibility and medical guidance when necessary. Psychological factors also play a major role. Body image concerns, anxiety about attractiveness, or lingering shame from cultural messages can suppress desire. Stress from caregiving responsibilities or work can further dampen energy. In a large survey conducted by the North American Menopause Society, nearly half of respondents admitted that emotional barriers more than physical ones limited their sexual activity. This highlights the importance of open communication with partners, and when needed, counseling to address deeper issues of confidence and self-worth. At this point, I'd like to pause and invite you to share your perspective. Have you faced any of these barriers, physical, emotional, or medical, in your own journey? And if so, what strategies have helped you cope or adapt? Comment below, because your experiences could provide guidance and encouragement to another woman who feels isolated in her struggle. These conversations matter, and your voice can make a difference. Understanding that barriers exist is not about discouragement, it is about empowerment. When women know that solutions are available and that they are not alone, they can move forward with confidence. And once those barriers are addressed, the next step is learning how to redefine intimacy on your own terms and support it through intentional self-care. That is where we will go next. 6. Redefining intimacy and building a foundation of self-care. By the time women reach their 50s and 60s, many discover that intimacy no longer looks or feels the way it once did. This change is not a signal that something has been lost forever. It is an invitation to redefine what intimacy means in this stage of life. When expectations shift from performance and perfection toward presence and connection, intimacy often becomes richer, gentler, and more sustainable. Redefining it allows couples to remove unnecessary pressure and to discover new ways of closeness that support both physical and emotional well-being. Redefinition begins by expanding the definition of intimacy beyond intercourse. For many women, affectionate touch, such as kissing, cuddling, holding hands, or simply lying together, can be deeply satisfying and equally beneficial for health. These acts still trigger the release of oxytocin and other bonding hormones, which lower stress and reinforce emotional security. They remind you that intimacy is not measured by intensity, but by consistency and authenticity. When couples allow themselves to value these smaller moments, they often find that their overall connection strengthens dramatically. Alongside this broader view of intimacy, self-care plays a pivotal role. The truth is that sexual well-being is built on the same foundation as general health. Regular physical activity, whether through walking, yoga, or swimming, helps maintain circulation and flexibility, which in turn supports responsiveness and comfort during intimacy. Nutrition is equally important. Diets rich in whole foods, plant-based proteins, and phytoestrogens from sources like soy and flaxseed can assist with hormone balance and reduce symptoms of dryness. Hydration and limiting alcohol also have direct positive effects on vaginal and overall health. Mental and emotional self-care should not be overlooked. Stress is one of the strongest inhibitors of desire, and women at midlife often juggle multiple responsibilities, from caregiving for aging parents to supporting grown children, leaving little energy for closeness. Simple practices such as meditation, journaling, or mindful breathing can create the mental space needed to welcome intimacy again. For some, professional counseling offers valuable support in reframing body image concerns, i.e., kindness, and dismantling old beliefs about aging and sexuality. Redefining intimacy and practicing self-care are not about lowering expectations. They are about creating a new and more sustainable rhythm of connection. When you care for your own body and mind, you enter intimacy with greater energy, openness, and confidence. When you allow intimacy to expand beyond narrow definitions, you discover that it can thrive at any age. As we bring these ideas together, it becomes clear that intimacy after 50 is not a chapter that closes. It is a story that can evolve and grow. The next step is to tie these insights into a final message that reinforces why intimacy is truly medicine for the body, the mind, and the spirit. That is what we will turn to in the conclusion. As we close this conversation, let's bring everything into focus. We have seen that intimacy after 50 is not a luxury or a passing indulgence. It is a proven health-promoting behavior. Regular closeness supports the heart, strengthens the pelvic floor, maintains vaginal comfort, sharpens memory, reduces stress, and deepens emotional bonds. It truly is medicine for body and mind. The research is clear. There is no single perfect number. For many women, intimacy about once per week appears to provide the strongest overall benefits, but even once or twice a month can still nourish your body and your brain. The key is not to measure yourself against a rigid standard, but to honor a rhythm that feels natural, comfortable, and sustainable for you and your partner. My advice is simple. Do not ignore intimacy out of fear or resignation. If you are facing barriers such as dryness, discomfort, or low desire, remember that safe and effective solutions exist. Speak with your physician about options like vaginal moisturizers, local estrogen therapy, or lifestyle modifications that can restore comfort. Make self-care a priority through exercise, nutrition, stress reduction, and open communication, because your overall well-being directly shapes your sexual health. Most importantly, give yourself permission to redefine intimacy. Value the smaller moments of touch, affection, and presence. These connections are just as powerful as intercourse and carry the same healing potential. Thank you for staying with me through this important discussion. If today's message resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comments. I read every response, and your stories may encourage another woman who feels alone. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and help me continue growing this channel. Your support means the world, and together we can keep building a community of women reclaiming their health and vitality.